The Amazon is not only the largest rainforest in the world, covering more than 5.5 million square kilometers, but it's also home to over 390 billion trees and millions of plant and animal species that can't be found anywhere else. This is a mysterious and breathtaking world full of life, with every corner holding countless secrets. But you might not believe it if I told you that this forest actually has a multi-layered structure. In fact, there are 7 different layers in the Amazon rainforest, each one a world of its own. Today, we're going to take an incredible journey together into the heart of one of the most amazing places on Earth. The Amazon rainforest is a mysterious, breathtaking world, and at the same time, teeming with life. First of all, we go to the underground layer, a place almost no one sees, but where life is absolutely thriving. Here, the tree roots have formed a complex network. This root system works together with special fungi called mycorrhizae to exchange nutrients between the trees. It's interesting to know that mycorrhizae are neither parasites nor nuisances. In a way, they're like best buddies with the roots, because mycorrhizal fungi help the roots absorb water and minerals more easily, and in return, the trees provide sugar and energy to these fungi. On the other hand, underground creatures like earthworms, termites, and fire ants also eat decaying leaves, aerate the soil, and keep the cycle of life going. It's important to know that this layer is extremely vital, and without it, there wouldn't even be any forests at all. When we move up from underground to the surface, we encounter the forest floor layer. It's dark here because sunlight barely reaches it, but despite its apparent silence, it's actually one of the most active layers of the forest. This place is full of fungi, amphibians, reptiles, and even skilled predators like jaguars that stealthily lie in wait for their prey. There are also poisonous toads in this layer, and with their bright colors, they warn you not to touch them. It's important to know that in this layer, everything gradually decomposes, from leaves to animal carcasses, and this is a crucial reason for the survival of the upper layers. A little higher up, we reach a layer that's full of young trees and medicinal plants. It's called the Shrub Layer. Here, there's not much light, but it's just enough to keep the small plants alive. Spider monkeys, small monkeys, hummingbirds, and plants like kratom, which is a tropical medicinal plant, live in this layer. It's interesting to know that the indigenous people of the Amazon use many of these plants to treat illnesses. Here, the competition for survival is intense, and evolution takes the lead. Let's move on to the Understory Layer, which is considered the 4th level of the Amazon rainforest. Very little sunlight reaches here as well. It's about 5%, and everything is kind of immersed in shadow. This layer is full of evergreen trees, palms, green insects, bats, boa snakes, and nocturnal birds like owls. Here, it's all about camouflage and keeping a low profile. For example, the boa is a professional night prowler that moves silently among the branches and ambushes its prey. This layer is kind of like the forest's half-awake sleep. It's either bright nor dark, but it's full of life. Nightlife in this layer is truly scary. However, the 5th layer, specifically known as the Canopy, is truly one of the most profoundly important and incredibly bustling layers within the vast and biodiverse Amazon rainforest. This elevated stratum is a vital hub of life and activity. The canopy is the part of the forest where the tops of the trees meet and form a dense green roof. In fact, this layer is what we see from above. A uniform green cover made up of the tree's leaves, just like a giant umbrella. You should know that more than 70% of the forest species live in this very layer. Howler monkeys, macaw parrots, giant butterflies, and pollinating bees, all of them are here. This layer absorbs most of the sunlight, and that's actually why the lower layers are darker. In this layer, there is a complex symbiosis between plants and animals. For example, here there are bees that feed only on a specific type of orchid, and the orchids themselves depend on these bees for pollination. Or parrots spread seeds and help plants reproduce. It's worth knowing that scientists also love studying this layer, because every year many new species are discovered. But some trees have grown even taller than the canopy layer, with their tops sticking out above the rest. These are found in the emergent layer. Here, the trees can sometimes reach heights of 60 or even 70 meters. Sunlight also shines directly and unfiltered. Strong winds, high temperatures, and large temperature fluctuations are some of the environmental features of this layer. It's interesting to know that, usually in this layer, the leaves of the trees are thick and small, and they have a thin, waxy coating on them to reduce evaporation and help them withstand the wind and direct sunlight. In fact, this waxy layer on the leaves acts kind of like sunscreen and waterproofing for the leaves. And it's especially important for plants that live in dry, sunny, and windy environments, like the tops of trees in the Amazon rainforest. Despite the unique conditions of this layer, life still goes on here. The harpy eagle, with its massive wings, is one of the top hunters in this layer. In other words, hunting at these high altitudes is no easy task. But this incredible bird, with its sharp eyesight and powerful wings, can strike quickly and catch its prey. So, the magnificent harpy eagle is truly one of the most prominent symbols of immense strength and remarkable adaptation to life in the absolute toughest conditions at the very highest treetop layer. Finally, we now reach the very last layer. A place high above the forest, or in fact, the very sky of the jungle. A place where migratory birds from all over the world come to rest, feed, and continue their journey. Insects, birds, bats, and fireflies are all part of the ecosystem of this layer. The sky of the jungle is not only the route for bird migration, but it also plays a major role in the dispersal of pollen and seeds. But remember, this layer is also affected by climate change. Global warming and reduced rainfall can disrupt migration patterns, pollination, and species diversity. Of course, this layer is highly affected by climate change because shifts in temperature, global warming, and reduced rainfall can impact bird migration patterns and insect distribution, gradually changing the species composition, which in a way affects the entire forest ecosystem. The forest canopy is where life reaches its peak in complexity and harmony. Now that we've gotten to know the different layers and strata of the Amazon, it's time to hear about the various theories regarding the Amazon rainforest and its multi-layered structure. Scientists and biologists believe that this layered structure is the result of millions of years of evolution and complex interactions between species and their environment. Each layer is a unique ecosystem that helps preserve biodiversity and maintain the balance of the ecosystem. But the indigenous people see the forest as a living, sacred being, with each layer having its own special role and meaning. They possess deep knowledge about medicinal plants and animals, passed down from generation to generation. On the other hand, environmental activists warn that deforestation, wildfires, and climate change can disrupt this fragile balance and have irreversible consequences. But for me, the Amazon rainforest is more than just a natural place. It's a unique masterpiece of creation and coexistence that reminds us how complex and valuable our Earth is. When we see how each layer has its own unique creatures and astonishing, strange interactions, we realize even more the importance of preserving this treasure. But what do you think? Be sure to write your thoughts in the comments. The Amazon rainforest isn't just a forest. It's a strange and precise structure made up of 7 layers of light, from the dark underground all the way up to the bright sky. Each layer has its own story. It has its own unique challenges and creatures that can only survive there. In the midst of all this, the indigenous knowledge of the Amazon people is a real treasure. For them, each layer has a spirit, a sacred meaning. So maybe it's time for us to look at this complex nature with more respect as well.